Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today in what is a very windy and cold Melbourne afternoon. Today, we're going to have a discussion around goal setting in times of uncertainty. So today, I'm joined by my colleague, Michael Russell. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Nicola Beswick, a Senior Advisor here at FMD Financial. Today, we're going to show you how to reassess your financial goals and achieve health, wealth, and happiness amongst the challenges of the coronavirus pandemic over the past 2 years.
Thank you, Nicola. I'm Michael Russell. I've been an advisor here at FMD for 9 years now, coming along with many of my long-standing clients from Investful Financial Planning in 2012, where I was an advisor for a further 7 years, starting out my advising career back in 2005. I'm looking forward to presenting today with Nicola, covering off on issues that have arisen due to the ever-changing landscape that we found ourselves in during this pandemic.
Now, before we get started, I'd like to address a few housekeeping items. Firstly, today's session is being recorded and will be sent via email to all registered attendees and will be available for clients through a private link, so you can watch and review it in your own time or share it with family or friends. We'd like to be able to answer all your questions, and we will do so at the end of the discussion. So if you do have any questions during the presentation, please click on the Q&A function on your screen and then type your question into the dialog box and we'll ask it at the end. We will try and get to as many questions as we can, but all questions will be collated, and anything that is unanswered, we will get back to you. If you're having technical difficulties, please refresh your browser and then reconnect. Finally, at the end of the webinar, all participants will be sent a brief survey. If you have the time, we would really appreciate your feedback so we can ensure all our future events meet your expectations and interests. And also, one of the key things that we like talking about as well is, please note that the various points that we will be talking about will be in general. And if you do have any specific questions around your own situation, please reach out to your advisor. Now, today, as I indicated at the start, we will be discussing the key impacts of COVID-19 on personal finances and indicate how goals can be reset during this time of change. There has quite rightly been a lot of media coverage and concerns about the impact of not only low-income workers, but there has been plenty of fallout among high-income earners as well. Think about those pilots being no longer able to fly, boutique hotel owners with empty beds, and restaurateurs waiting to reopen at an uncertain future. There have been a lot of other aspects to COVID that have had mixed implications for people of diverse backgrounds, ages, and lifestyles. And today we'll be covering off three aspects, or three key areas, with some time for questions at the end. I'll now hand over to Michael, who will cover off on the first topic and take you through some of the positive and negative impacts of COVID.
Thanks, Nicola. While we can't cover off on every aspect of COVID, we have chosen to cover off on some of the main issues that we found are impacting our clients. I'll start off with three, which are household savings, impacts of COVID on work and careers, and the effect of COVID on property prices. First one being household savings. Australian households and businesses have saved more than $200 billion during the COVID-19 pandemic, as economic lifelines and reduced spending opportunities saw people clamp down on their wallets. The figures revealed by Treasury show deposits into household savings accounts alone grew by more than $100 billion in the past 12 months. The likely reasons for the savings boost include the inability to go on family holidays due to restrictions, concerns over job security leading to rainy day savings, and reduced spending opportunities as shops have been forced to close their doors. The impacts of the higher savings have resulted in large cash balances with very low returns, either 0% in transaction accounts or around about 0.5% or less in term deposits. The other thing we're finding with some of our clients is either a cancellation or a reduction in the age pension due to increased asset bases with the increased savings, which we'll cover off later in the webinar. The second topic, work. We're all very aware that the impacts of COVID has had on certain sectors of the workforce, such as hospitality and small retail business. For those fortunate enough to retain full-time employment, many have now found themselves either working from home full-time during lockdown, working from home part-time during lockdown, and also with a high likelihood that this may continue in some capacity going forward. I'll take a quick look at some of the statistics from research and statistics provider McCrindle to give you some insight on the changes. Firstly, the key benefits of working from home are time and cost savings. Although working from home has posed some challenges, the positive aspects has in most cases outweighed them. The key benefits have been both savings in time and money, with more than 4 in 5 Australians who have worked from home have found this arrangement saves them time with no commute to work, less time spent getting ready in the morning, and 3 in 4 have saved money on items such as travel and lunch costs. Over half have enjoyed the added flexibility in their working week, such as being able to manage household chores concurrently or even during work breaks. Secondly, cover off the challenges. While there are many positive benefits, there are also challenges of working from home. The isolation period took its toll on Australians last year, and many missed the companionship, the cooperation and the connection that a workplace provides. The number one challenge that was listed was social isolation, followed by blurring of the work and home boundaries. 33% of people found that an issue, and also missed opportunities for work collaboration, with 30% of people noting that. On a positive side, 16% of Australians have not experienced any challenges with their working from home arrangement. Next slide. Returning to the workplace. As Australians who have been working from home begin to think about returning to the office, and many had a brief stint earlier in the year and now we're finding ourselves locked down again in many states, they do have reservations which are listed as follows. The number one reservation is travelling on public transport. The number two is consuming food in communal areas. And number three is just being in a communal workplace again, with 83% of people voicing concerns. Surprisingly, 77% of people have reservations about using lifts, although I do know that some people have never really liked the lifts, pandemic or not. Moving on to careers and what's happening there. A recent report by Gartner Global Talent shows record numbers of people are thinking about changing their job, career or work location during COVID-19. The report lists a range of reasons, including necessity, burnout, lifestyle rethink, with many people relocating to regional areas, interstate, and their roles have been adapting to allow this with changes in technology. Major observations of the report find that 24% of Australian employees are actively seeking other employment. A 2.6% decrease in workers wanting to stay with their current employer beyond the financial year, and a 5% increase in active job seeking. The number one reason why people leave their jobs now is for a work-life balance. This is being valued above future career opportunities, which is no longer even in the top 5. Interestingly, the remuneration or salary component is now only sitting at number 10, which has always been one of the top reasons people change jobs or employment. Workers are saying that dramatic times are looking at life and making us look at life in a different way. And the lockdowns give people time to reassess their careers, and working from home has given them a new sense of work-life balance. The third topic I'll cover off on is property prices. Australian property has had a mini boom since the start of this year, probably late last year and into this year, which has been great for property owners. And on the other hand, very tough for those looking to get into the market. Australia's property prices have risen well above what they would have if COVID-19 had never happened, according to a recent report by KPMG. According to the KPMG report, most capital cities were due for an upswing last year, but with ultra low interest rates and government support to the housing market during the pandemic, this gave a further shot in the arm to the housing market and resulted in a much larger upswing, adding sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars extra to property values across major cities. The report assessed what has taken place over the past 18 months compared to a non-COVID scenario, and it found nationwide that house prices were between 4 and 12% higher, and units up to 13% higher under a normal scenario. One of the considerations for our clients with the increase in property prices leading up to retirement is downsizing, and downsizing the family home, which we'll cover off later in the webinar. We'll go into that in a bit more depth, but for now I'll pass back to Nicola to discuss goal setting.
Thank you, Michael. And it's really important to take in consideration some of those key changes that we've seen, particularly with COVID-19 and what it's had with people. Particularly what we see as financial advisors is particularly helping people look at goal setting. Goal setting is a really important factor as it helps take the stress away. It is the GPS for our future and provides a clear roadmap of the journey we want to take. Like anyone who wants to run a marathon, we need a plan to assist us with the run that is quite a significant distance, 42 kilometres. Goal setting, particularly in the financial sense, is the same. You need to know where you want to go, plan the steps, and then action that plan are all important parts to reaching that end goal. This is particularly important, especially as time flies by fast and life does actually get in the way. And this is particularly where advisors can assist. We all have a broad overview when it comes to helping set your financial goals. We are collectively immersed in the decision-making activity, and we find it really easy to look around the clouds and take away that noise that we individually have when we're thinking about ourselves and our own thoughts and have those external influences. Advisors are trained to cut through that noise and provide clarity. And we're all experienced to weigh up the pros and cons of financial decisions in an analytical way, which is based on rational data and circumstances. In fact, we can quite sometimes clearly see in an impartial ways people's financial picture at a time where they may not be able to. So we can help bridge any different perspectives that you may have, not only with yourself, but with your spouse or couple, and help with that money management when it comes to viewing your own finances. One of the key things when it comes to goal setting is it's important to look at things from a high level overview before you sit down and work through the steps as to what you want to go through. Understanding the importance of goal setting and help review the previous years gone past and understand what lessons have been learned, both good and bad, are all important. The key things that are particularly important, which we'll cover off, is looking at your mindset when you're able to take this process and look at what you want to try and do, but also looking at what is particularly important to you and your family. We all have various different dreams and aspirations, and no two people are generally alike. Finally, once you set out your key goals, it's about committing to the required steps to action that plan and help it be completed and continuously have that momentum to achieve your goal along with your support team. As I indicated earlier, one of the key things is understanding your mind and help that to employ any change. It's really useful to look at three kind of, I say, laws that are useful when you want to design change. The first law that I've got here is our bias towards the status quo. There needs to be more incentive or desirability created to engage in new behaviour to overcome this bias. For example, if you want to save for a holiday and visit your family that wants to be seen for a long period of time, I know that is creating a little bit of a desirability there. The second law is that behaviour is both personal and environmental, and both of these factors need to be taken into consideration when any behaviour is being changed. I know for many of us it's uncomfortable to think that we're not fully in control of our own behaviour or our own fate. But in fact, many studies, particularly economic studies, have demonstrated this repeatedly. We can in fact be influenced how information is presented and how our environment is set up. So when we look at behaviour and performance, consideration needs to be paid to the contextual factors that are out there. If a desired behaviour is not occurring, then we need to examine an environment and determine which barriers exist for that individual to make sure that they're reaching towards what they want to try and achieve. This is particularly important when it comes to goal setting. I know us all being stuck at home is probably one key environmental factor that is influencing our behaviour at the moment. The third law of particularly behaviour is around understanding that every decision that we make has a consequence. And this is in the form of trade-offs and unattended consequences. Now, for example, we have a look at opportunity cost. If I want to go out and spend $15 on my lunch or buy something online, I can't use that same $15 to put towards my plane ticket and go and see my family. So I'm choosing A over B. A good financial coach can help reassess these behaviours more often and help with your mindset, particularly making sure that you're on track and working towards your realistic financial goals that help bring in a sense of purpose and control at sometimes a chaotic and demanding time of life. So as I indicated, values are a really central key concept that are critical when we want to look at what we're working towards. When we think of our values, we think about what is most important to us in life. And we all hear numerous values. We all hold numerous values, all with varying degrees of importance. And one particular value may not be as important to another person. So when it comes to financial planning and particularly goal setting, understanding these key values is particularly important to someone and what it is when you want to achieve a key aspect of your life and look at that from a financial planning and goal setting activity. This is particularly important regardless of whether you're single or part of a couple. For example, some want to save for retirement, others want to develop skills to improve their income, some want to save for a home, and others may want to help their children out. Once you've figured out what is important, the next stage is to take a little bit of time and work out what is within reach and what is part of your long-term strategy. And particularly, these can be separated into three categories. We have the short-term financial goals, which are achievable within 1 year or so. For example, take a vacation. I'm sure everyone out there would love to do that right about now. Buying a new refrigerator or paying off a specific debt. Mid-term jobs or medium-term goals are those that can't be achieved right away, but don't really take too many years to accomplish, such as purchasing a car, finishing a degree, or paying off credit cards. Then we have long-term goals. These are the ones that are typically over 5 years or so and may take many years to accomplish. But as a result, they have longer time commitments and often more money. So for example, paying off a home, saving for a child's education, and working towards a comfortable retirement. These do take years to accomplish, but it's very much important to look at these goals and what's important. Well, when it comes to drilling down and setting out goals in a particular situation, a key way of developing goals is using the SMART goal strategy. This helps us make sure goals are clear, reachable, and can be achieved regardless of the current situation that someone's in. Quickly, they must be specific. So, creating clarity, which really helps us all, and lists all the steps that it needs to take to achieve the goal. Must be measurable. So put some numbers behind what it is that you're trying to do. Have some little mini goals along the way to achieve that bigger goal. Are these goals achievable? Is it realistic? Do you have capacity or the ability to reach these goals? Are they relevant? Is this goal suitable to your bigger picture? Does it conflict with those core values that we kind of touched on before? And how much control do you actually have over this? How much influence do you have it? How motivated are you? And do you need to have others assist? And also, finally, time bound. We need to look at how working towards your goals would impact your work and your life, and how they will influence these two aspects, particularly making sure that they can fit in with your present and your future. So what are the key ways that an advisor can help? As I've indicated, it helps to set realistic goals that are specific to your needs, and then find strategies to support these goals and encourage you to achieve them. And particularly as a financial advisor, a financial planner, they can help model out various financial outcomes of a whole range of scenarios to see the impact of your decisions. Michael later on will talk about this in more detail. Advisors particularly help keep you agile and on track, and adapt and respond to changes in your financial situation, and help update plan with new strategies to ensure you can keep on meeting those long-term goals. However, some of the less tangible benefits of the advisor-client relationship is that financial shorthand. A lot of clients do share with us that when it has someone to understand their position, family, and needs and goals, it develops a really close relationship and helps information being shared quickly and easily, and help people really have a real peace of mind during times of uncertainty and upheaval, particularly what we've seen in the last few months, or a few years, depending, because everyone has been impacted. So when life is in flux and it may be hard to focus on key aspects of your financial management and making split decisions, it can be more manageable having a person there behind you and help with understand your personal priorities and goals. So while everyone is different, we are all here to help you keep on yourself on track and understand your position. So I'll hand over to Michael, who will help explain what your advisor can do to help set goals in more detail.
Thanks, Nicola. Well, I can't cover off on everything that we can do to help. I'll just choose a few ones, three I think I'll do today, which are some strategies around the extra cash people are holding, and perhaps over the last 12 months, it's been a reasonably good year for returns. So superannuation and retirement balances are much higher than they were perhaps 12 months ago. So looking at the impact that has on age pension and some strategies to assist there. I'll discuss downsizer contributions, what that means for our clients with the change there that was announced in the federal budget, and also do some modelling. Just take you through a scenario where modelling with your advisor is used to navigate different retirement outcomes and provide some guidance and direction. Firstly, so the age pension, hopefully you can read the numbers on the graph on the screen there, but basically I'll just talk through a couple scenario, a couple who have of age pension eligibility would receive the full age pension if they had assets excluding their home of 405,000, and that amount would decrease until their asset base was 884,000, where they would no longer be eligible for any age pension at all. So you can see that's quite a sharp decline once you hit that 405,000 through to 884,000. So I'll take you through some strategies that may be useful to boost your retirement income. So maximum age pension for a couple is about $38,000 per year. So the first strategy I'll cover off is gifting. Gifting, there's rules around gifting. You can gift smaller amounts. So amounts of up to $10,000 per year are allowable by Centrelink, and that's a maximum of $30,000 over a rolling 5-year period. Otherwise, if you want to gift more than that $10,000 per year or more than the $30,000 over 5 years, you can do that, but it'll still sit as an asset or accessible asset for you for a period of 5 years. Now that seems like a long time. However, with long-term planning, perhaps this is something our clients could think about leading up to retirement. It might be a good opportunity to gift some assets prior to reaching pension age. The second one is homeowners can renovate or spend money on a non-assessable asset. So basically spend some money on your home. If you were planning on doing up the bathroom or the kitchen, these sort of things may be better to bring forward. If you're going to do it anyway, you might as well get the benefit of it now and at the same time reduce your assessable assets from a Centrelink perspective and boost up your age pension. Another popular one I've found is solar panels. Clients, the payback period, when you look at the payback period for solar, it actually, if you incorporate the extra age pension, that can reduce the time frame with that. I'm not advocating any particular solar companies or anything like that. Do your own research, but that's just something that I have found that has been popular. Third one is repay any debt secured against exempt assets. So your house, for example, is an exempt asset. So if you are carrying a mortgage, and hopefully not too many are leading into retirement, or you've got any credit card debt, it's pretty basic. Pay those debts off, and that will increase your age pension entitlement. Next slide. Funeral bonds and prepaying funeral expenses. This is a popular one. It doesn't give you too much of an exemption. I think it's about $13,500 you can place into a funeral bond, and that will not be counted for the Centrelink assets test. And you can also prepay your funeral as well. So not a huge difference, but sometimes every little bit helps. The fifth one I've got listed here is contribute to your younger spouse's super and hold it in accumulation phase. So what we're talking about here is if you have a spouse who is under the age pension age, any assets they hold within their super in accumulation is not counted as an asset. So there's often an opportunity there to shift money around from the older person in the relationship to the younger spouse, and therefore, I guess, sheltering those assets from being deemed by Centrelink. And, you know, sometimes there can be quite a big age difference between couples, and it could mean 2, 3, 5, 7 years worth of age pension or increased age pension for the person who's eligible for age pension. Just keep in mind, it's not the full age pension. You'll be one member of a couple, so you'll get assessed at half the maximum couple rate. So a $38,000 pension, you get half of that if you're entitled to the full amount. The last one is purchase a lifetime income stream. These were popular in years gone by, and there's been some changes to the ruling around it. However, there is annuities you can purchase now that have come out since July 2019, which are favourably assessed. Yeah, not as beneficial as they used to be, but still worth considering and having a discussion with your advisor if that's suitable for you. Now I'll move on to downsizing. So downsizing is an opportunity people previously over 65 could take advantage of in the sale of their home and contributing those proceeds to super. Now, with the federal government announcement on May the 11th, we can now, that age is reducing from 65 down to 60. So it opens up a lot more opportunity for our clients if they are thinking about it, and perhaps with the increase in property prices, this is something they might want to bring forward and discuss with their advisor, whether that's a suitable strategy for them. But certainly it gives the clients opportunity for $300,000 per person or $600,000 per person to get some extra funds into super to help boost their retirement income. I'll now move on to modelling. I'll just take you through a fairly simple and straightforward example for a set of clients. So we've got John and Jill, who are both 55 years of age. They're looking to retire, well, their goal is to retire at 65 and have an income of, I think, $63,000 per year. So if they were coming in today, and I used the modeler, the FMD financial modeler, I'd be able to see that basically they're on track to have a shortfall in either retirement income or that retirement income running up prior to their life expectancy. So presently, it had them running out of money at age 78, and with a life expectancy of 85, that's not a great scenario to be in. This next slide just shows you how that looks from a visual aspect. You can see leading up to retirement from 55 to 65, their funds increase up to 473,000 and then decrease during their retirement and completely runs out there at 78, I think. I can't quite see on my screen. And you can see a life expectancy there another 5 or 6 years further down the track. Now, I have put in fairly low balances, 237,000 for John and 123,000 for Jill. Surprisingly, that is actually the average super balance for a 50-year-old. So while it's on the low side, it is actually not too far off what a lot of people have in super at the moment. But fortunately for John and Jill, they do have some time on their side to make some changes. And on the next slide, I'll show you some options that they do have. So they can make salary sacrifice contributions to super. They could adjust their risk profile. I don't think I mentioned it was on the slide. They've got a very conservative risk profile. So they could consider moving up the risk profile spectrum to something with a little bit more growth orientation in it. They could make a one-off lump sum contribution either through downsizing or perhaps inheritance or perhaps some money that's built up in cash in their savings account. They could, the last two are probably not ideal. We would adjust their expectations for retirement. So instead of $63,000 per annum as a goal, we may need to have a discussion about reducing that amount. Therefore, the funds will last longer. And the last one is work longer, which I don't think anyone is all that keen on doing that one. So the modelling I'm going to do today, we're just looking at making some concessional contributions or salary sacrifice contributions. So in John and Jill's scenario, they're both earning about $100,000 per annum, and we're talking about contributing $15,000 to super as a concessional contribution. They'll still meet their caps by putting an extra $15,000 in. And one of the benefits of salary sacrificing is that while it's a $15,000 contribution, it'll only adjust their take-home pay by $10,000 each. So it is an effective way to build your super. We've also had a discussion with John and Jill about their risk profile, and based on that discussion, we've moved them to a slightly more growth-orientated portfolio, just one rung up the ladder from a conservative to a moderate portfolio. The outcome here, as you've probably already looked ahead, is that their retirement savings have increased quite substantially. They're now up to $839,000 at their retirement point at age 65, and that $63,000 per year income goal has now been extended right past their life expectancy of 85, and you can see it continues on there to, I think it's about 98 that it cuts out. That does include age pension as well. So I haven't shown that in there, but they both would be eligible for age pension, and that does help boost their retirement income over that time. So that's a simple example how using a modeler and sitting down with your advisor, making some changes and putting them in place can really have a big impact on your retirement lifestyle. That's using our FMD online profiler. However, we do have more comprehensive modelling tools which we can use with you, but that's one that we find useful in client meetings. So perhaps have a chat to your advisor about whether that going through that scenario and modelling is something that would be beneficial to you. That pretty much brings us to the end of today's discussion. I'll hand back to Nicola and you can wrap things up, Nicola.
Great, thank you, Michael. So just as Michael said, that does bring us to the end of today's discussion. And I know we've all seen that COVID has changed a lot of financial considerations for people across all ages, life stages, and financial situations. I know many of us have all faced challenges, but many of us are also thriving in this new environment. And we've seen some opportunities come up while others have disappeared. But as we move into this new world, there are some really key rules of thumb that are good to keep in mind when we're looking at goal setting in these times of upheaval. Firstly, unfortunately, accepting that this is the new reality that we're all facing. COVID has had a huge impact on all of us, and we're, in some respects, all going to have to learn to live with the changes and challenges that it has brought. The second aspect is look at building contingency plans, and this is something that we do encourage people to do. It's looking at your goals and what you want to do, but also understand that things can change and that reviewing what your situation is and what goals you wish to achieve on a regular basis with your advisor is particularly important. Getting input from an advisor is a really key because we do have that impartial analysis to review, impartial overview of your situation, and can really help you look at your personal situation. And that's the real value of the trusted relationship that I know I particularly see is we have that ability to assist people through times of change and upheaval. And it is really key to look at setting goals or even reassessing your current goals and getting some support, particularly from an advisor, to help you navigate what you wish to do.
Thanks, Nicola. I trust that those of you who have joined us today have found this a useful session. So I'd like to now open up for questions for the next 5 minutes or so. We'll endeavour to answer them today, but if we can't, we will get back to you directly. So I will hand over to the audience now to ask questions. There'll be a question box, I believe, at the bottom of your screen, which says Q&A. If you'd like to click that, we will be able to see the questions that do come through.
Well, maybe while we're waiting for people, I know that Rusty, you have some questions, or particularly one that comes up quite often with your clients and what people ask.
Yeah, I've found the increase in assets over the last 12 months has been a real concern for people. And in today's discussion, I covered off on the impact with age pension. Not everyone is entitled to the age pension. We've got a lot of clients who don't receive any age pension at all. And the questions have been, what else is out there in terms of government concessions? It's a little bit complex, but it's worthwhile noting there's a couple of different options. There's the Commonwealth Seniors Healthcare Card, which is available to senior Australians of age pension age. And also there's a low income healthcare card. One of the benefits of lower interest rates is deeming rates have also reduced. And with that, with the lower deeming rates, it's actually extended the asset base up quite high to where people are eligible for these cards. And some people are surprised to know that you can have up to $2,500 worth of assets, sorry, $2.5 million worth of assets excluding your family home, and you could possibly still get the low income healthcare card, or the Commonwealth Seniors Healthcare card for a couple, assets of up to nearly $4 million. So it's not just for the lower end. There is benefits out there for those who aren't eligible for the age pension.
It's always one of those really particular key questions I know that we all hear. It's around what can you get and what are people entitled to, and working through those things. And particularly if you can get some support, it may help from extending the life of your asset base when you go through particularly retirement. But I know.
Yeah, absolutely. And even just the little things like, I mean, with the low income healthcare card, getting reduced registration, getting, 17% off your gas, electricity, these sort of things, they all help. And particularly if your asset base is over the age pension cutoff of 884,000, well, if you're relying on your retirement assets to live off, it makes a big difference getting just a little bit of an incentive. And I mean, everyone's worked hard to get to their position, and it's just nice to get something back sometimes, regardless of the size.
Yeah, exactly. Like, can't see any questions or anything in terms of the session today. I do hope that everyone has found what we've talked about useful, and particularly encourage people to reach out to their advisor, not only to maybe look at the modelling that Michael talked through, but also look at taking stock of your goals and your objectives. I know we're all in this time where life does seem to be a little bit chaotic, but it is worthwhile to do that, and particularly have that support person. So I think I haven't seen anything come through.
No, nor have I, Nicola. So
maybe
if there isn't any other questions, perhaps we'll wind things up. We look forward to presenting to you again in the near future. And finally, don't forget, there is a survey that we'll be sending around. So we'd appreciate any comments and feedback. So if you get the chance to do that, it'd be much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.